Ihr hört einen Podcast vom Future of Festivals, das Branchentreffen für alle VeranstalterInnen, Dienstleistende, EntscheiderInnen und Auszubildenden aus dem Festivalbereich. Die nächste Ausgabe findet von Donnerstag, den 27. bis Freitag, den 28. November 2025 in der Station Berlin statt. Die folgende Aufzeichnung ist aus dem Jahre 2024 von dem Diskussionspanel mit dem Namen
Imposter Syndrome. What is this? Presented by Women in Live Music.
Viel Spaß beim Zuhören. Mehr Informationen und Tickets findest du unter www.futureoffestivals.com.
So, good morning.
Good morning.
Just talking a bit about that I'm getting blinded up here, but I guess you can definitely see me. And this is Carolina. This is also
Just Caroline, yeah.
Caroline.
Yeah.
Caroline. Okay, good. I'll say Caroline. It's because I have another one, Carolina, coming.
Okay.
Carol, is that?
That's fine with me, yeah.
Good. So, yeah, I'm still kind of blinded, but I can see there's some people here. Do we actually have a microphone for the audience? We do have. Okay, that's very good. Because could we already give the mic to the audience? And I'm kind of, okay, I'm missing a bit of monitor up here because I can hear myself, but not that good. I'm a sound engineer, so I don't hear well. Yeah, so you didn't get a microphone yet, did you? No. Okay, I'll just start. This is a Women in Live Music panel. Is anybody here not familiar with Women in Live Music? You don't know? Okay, that's good. That's one. Anybody else who don't know what Women in Live Music is about? Yeah? Okay, good. So you all know. Okay, if you know what Women in Live Music is about, raise your hand. Yay. You have a funny democracy here in Germany. Okay, so anyhow, did we have an extra mic? Yeah, could you hand it over to the lady here in the front? Because I'd like to hear where you guys are from. Like, are you in the live music industry or? Yeah, I think they need to unmute you. You don't have to do anything, they have to do.
So
I think you have to speak up, otherwise I will be able to.
I'm studying as an event manager, and
Yeah.
I'm also a DJ who I play at a lot of clubs here in Berlin. I'm also in a collective, and we also do some events at some clubs here, and yeah.
Okay, good. And yeah, it does say imposter syndrome, but we're going to talk about being a woman in live music in general. So what are you expecting to hear today?
Well, I'm kind of expecting to hear like some of your experiences and how you live with like our music scene and how you comprehend with it, because I feel like anytime I'm on an event and I'm playing, I always have like an imposter syndrome. I feel like, why am I here? Why should I be here? Do they only book me because I'm a woman, or do they book me because of my music? So yeah.
For the quotes.
I think we can very much relate to that. I think all women in live music can relate to that. But you know, we are going to talk a bit about that. But also, guys also, men, does also suffer from imposter syndrome. They often just don't show or talk about it like we do. But they definitely should speak up about it, because it's not nice to have. And we did a study recently that showed that more than 80% of the women in the industry is suffering from imposter syndrome. But great, thank you. Does anybody here, and now again, Germany, some will say yes, some will say no, and the rest we don't know. But does anybody here not know what imposter syndrome is? Okay, yeah. You know, there's a lot of people who don't know it. So imposter syndrome is when you actually have the knowledge, you also have the experience, and you're actually good enough at your job, but you constantly have this feeling that you do not belong here, that this job is too big for you, or you are like constantly afraid of that you're not gonna make it, this job, it's gonna blow up in your face. And it's a terrible feeling to have. And why not just, you know, trust yourself and feel joy about the job that you're doing. Right, so this is me. And I'm a sound engineer, and I'm also the CEO of Women in Live Music. The next slide would show you what Women in Live Music is about. Well, it actually says here, we work for more diversity. And I founded Women in Live Music in 2000. Well, actually, this month, it's 7 years ago that we founded Women in Live Music, me and Hannah Broderick, who's another sound engineer. And today we have a Facebook group. Everybody has to be accepted to get into that group, and there are close to 8,000 members, people from across the live music industry. Well, first of all, sorry, still too early. I just want to say regarding imposter syndrome, for 20 years, I thought I could not mix because I was a woman and because I was not a musician and I didn't have math or phys in the school, so I was convinced I could never be a monitor engineer like in the picture. So I eventually just took the step and got behind a mixing console, and here I'm actually mixing monitors for Adam Lambert from Queen. I mean, you don't really get that much bigger than that. And I still have the feeling sometimes I don't belong there. I don't know anything about what's going on. But I mean, if you get to the point where you're actually mixing monitors for Adam Lambert from Queen, you must have done something right, and you must actually be good at your job, right? But imposter syndrome is, of course, something I know as well. So how did it all begin with, I think there is it. So in 2016, me and Hannah, we heard about this story about a backliner. Everybody knows what a backliner is, right? Yeah, good. The one setting up the instruments for the musicians. It was this woman from France, and well, she was from the UK, but she was touring in France, and the local crew didn't want to speak to her because she was a woman. And then Hannah and I were figuring, we all know that problem when people don't take us seriously or think we're part of the crew because we're women. So what we would like to do is to create a platform for women working behind the stage in production, logistic, and technique. So we did. And still, there were no common platform for women working backstage. And I'm going to stand up because it's hard for me to turn around all the time. And still today, Women in Live Music is globally the only organization who is for women working backstage. And yeah, it's pretty rare, isn't it? Or sad. It's good for us. We get all the publicity, but it's really sad. Because how many percentage of women do you think work backstage? Yeah, 2%. That would be in Denmark, 2%. Yeah, I mean, UK is kind of doing good. I think Germany is also doing kind of good. Sweden is doing kind of good. So it's maybe like 7-8%. But in general, it would be like around 5% working backstage that are not a white dude. Yeah, it's actually, I didn't correct my slide, but we're close to 8,000. That's pretty good. And we have something called a crew list on our website, and that's because the music industry actually do want to have a more diverse crew. They just don't know where to find it. And it can be hard to find those 5, 7, or 2% out there. So we're helping you with that through our website. And this is some of the activities that we're doing. We are doing talks like now, and We're having an award show. It's coming up in December. You can still go and vote. You should actually check out the voting list we got going. If you go to our social media, you will see all these. I think this year we have 33 categories, 200 names up there, 201 name up there. Go and check out those names and cast them a vote. Music in Africa is someone we have a collaboration with. I was just in Rwanda where I was teaching 14 young ladies in sound, light, and festival production. There you see Hannah Broderick. She's the co-founder. She's monitor engineer for Florence and the Machine. We tend to do a lot of workshops because we think that knowledge is power, and this is the way to gain more diversity in the industry is by getting the girls dressed for the job. And we do that by increasing their working skills, like here it's an MA lighting workshop in Stockholm. Then we love going skiing. We're going skiing in Sweden in January. If you want to come, you can come. It's quite fun. Anyhow, this is the, that was the crew list, but we're not going to show that because we should go on and also have you introduced in a second. But this is kind of like what we're doing, and we've done over 100 events in 11 countries. And yeah, this is the category. But these are the things that we're doing because we think that a community, visibility, having a network is what's going to strengthen the women. Because we think that the reason for this low percentage of women is very much due to the imposter syndrome. But if you have someone you can team up with, and if you're more secure about your job, then you're more likely to stay in the industry and go out and get those jobs. But, Kara, could you please, before I continue the slides here, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi, I'm Caroline. I started in a youth club at like 22, and I've always kind of been the only girl that worked there who didn't do looked after the jackets, did the bar or the ticketing. I was always the one looking after pulling all the cables to the stage and whatsoever, like all the male kind of jobs. And that was like a red line in my, let's call it, event industry life. I'm somehow always been the only girl, but I never really been afraid of being the only one. And the thing for me is that I never questioned it. I always felt like, oh, this is just like things are, and that's like things have to be. At the moment, I'm mainly trying to get into pyrotechnic. I'm also a music photographer and do merch. Yeah, so I don't know. Ever since then, I've worked my way in the music industry, and ever since then, I've kind of been the quote girl that you would book to have a girl in your crew, which is kind of sad. So whenever you work a bigger festival or event and there was another woman, I was like, oh my God, look at her. So awesome that there's somebody else, like, just as me. But yeah, that's some of my photography, but yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit unexpected. I didn't know this was coming up, so that looks good.
Yeah.
Right. Being the quote girl, how does that make you feel? And why do you think that is the case?
Well, the thing is, I never really questioned it. I never really felt like that's the case up until like a few years ago, where women actually came more presented in the music industry. But I don't really know. I just felt that it's right that way. And that is actually so sad, you know? So, I don't know. I never questioned it up until a few years ago. And I think women always have to work extra hard to be recognized. So we always have to go the extra step. So for example, in between, during COVID, I was working in a major TV studio, and I was the only girl there as well. And I always went that extra mile. And for me, it felt normal. And then I had a really nice and good boss, and he was asking me, why do you do that? That you don't have to do that. You don't have to look after that. And so, oh yeah, but I have time and I'm the girl. And I'm like, what the fuck did I just say? So I don't know. I always felt like I have to go an extra step to be recognized.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is another example of imposter syndrome.
It is.
Because we are so afraid of fucking up that we're going that extra mile. And the funny fact is, there is actually a good reason for doing that. Because a lot of women experience that they get the chance, and then they only get that chance. And if they're not 100%, or I would say like 150% perfect on that gig, they're not going to be asked back.
That's for sure.
So that's another thing that feeds the imposter syndrome. And maybe that's also why, I don't know, but don't shoot me for this, but that's maybe why women are so focused on imposter syndrome and suffering from it, where guys don't really think about it. Because if you're a guy, you are being treated differently. I'm sorry to say it, but it's actually a fact. And just like you say, when you're the croak girl, it's like, great, so you took me because of my pretty face and not because of my skills, and oh my gosh, I wonder if I can live up to this. Right? Yeah.
So for me, it also was not until I actually met those people that did have a different mindset, that did not make that much of a difference out of, oh, you are a woman, you are a guy, that actually didn't book you for being a girl, but they did recognize, oh, she does a good job. So I must say, for me, it was that I met the right people, or the people that would want to support you as a person and not you as a woman. And I think for me that makes a big difference, because you can, support anyone, but you would support me for my skills and not support me for just being the girl you want to be in your crew because you need a girl in the crew.
Yes, exactly. And I remember once, it was the director for a big European festival. He came over to me and he was so happy because he was like, oh, you know, Malle, in my office, it's 80% women and 20% guys. Isn't that great? And I was like, no, it's not. Because then we have the opposite situation, and we don't want that. Actually, we should get away from paying too much attention to, well, we shouldn't pay any attention to the gender. We should just go for the best person. And, you know, all the talk about diversity, if there's something behind stage that we cannot work with, then it is the quotes. Because if you're just taking a girl because she's a girl, she might not have the skills. And then you will hear afterwards, well, we tried it with a woman once and it didn't work out. Because that's actually a sentence I hear a lot, especially when I'm at trade shows like here. People will come up to me and say, like, be very proud and saying, yeah, we tried it with a woman once. So we did make an effort, but it didn't work out. And it's like,
you tried it once, but you would book any guy whenever again, but you would not book a woman again because we tried it once? That doesn't make sense.
Exactly. And again, this is something that really feeds the imposter syndrome, is that when you are that quote girl, you're hired because of your gender, and it doesn't work out. I mean, how do you think it makes you feel? Well, not very good. So you're maybe, you know, rethinking your career in the live music industry.
For me, imposter syndrome is also that I'm constantly questioning myself, like, how did I get here and why am I here? Am I doing this right, or does somebody else deserve it more than I do? So why am I even here? I mean, in the back of my head, I'm aware I must have done something right, because otherwise I wouldn't be here. But at the same time, you think maybe somebody else deserves it more, or maybe somebody else has better pictures, more skills, or whatever. So you constantly lower yourself. You lower yourself, your own skills. And you're like, nah, I'm not worth it. You know, and that's quite a sad feeling if you really think about it. So you might think, it's nothing, but yeah, there's like a bigger picture behind it. So and I think that's quite sad, because it is also the industry that fed into that for years and years. And it's, I mean, you can see like with Women in Live Music and other organizations or whatever that try to make a difference, but it's still the fact that we kind of need to do that in general is so, sorry to say, fucked up. I don't know.
Yeah, I like to swear a lot, so it's great. Well, you know what? In Women in Live Music, when we started 7 years ago, we were convinced that in 6 months' time, nobody want to hear about us anymore, and our talk about diversity behind the stage, etc. 7 years later, we have to realize that we haven't really moved anywhere. And why is that so? Because, you know, there's a lot of initiatives out there, etc. Well, it's a process that takes years. And we reckon we're looking at another 10 to 15 years before we get up to a stable number of 15-20% of women behind the stage. It's really a process that takes a very long time. And it takes that long because you have to go and change the social DNA. Like, for instance, a sound engineer. I'm so often being recognized as a girlfriend of somebody in the band, or...
What are you doing here? What are you doing backstage? Are you the girlfriend of the singer? Like, nah, I'm the, let's say, tour manager. I'm the person babysitting this huge band. Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah, it is like that. And that's not going to change for the next many years. But we can start and do an effort already now by just like, you know, because we're all biased. I mean, I could, like, if you were my pyrotech, I didn't know it, I would come up and be like, what are you doing here? And you say, you're the pyrotech. And I'll be like, okay, do you know how to do the job?
I actually had that happening to me. I had, like, was my not my first job, but one of the first jobs, and then I had a guy who I had to look after because he was like a fire performer, and he's been like, oh yeah, but there's a pyrotech coming to help me out with my drumsticks, like on fire drumsticks, like I'm here. Yeah, but there's a guy coming helping me. Like, excuse me. So,
yeah, and
also, and that was not like a prick kind of guy. Not like it was a normal, actually really sweet dude, but he didn't even question what he said. He didn't even think about what he said.
Because
and that is with so many people.
And you know, it's not bad. It's just because he's never ever met
that's what I'm
you know,
saying.
a female tech, probably. You know, and because we're so rare, it is a rare sight out there. So it's completely normal if you've never seen a female tech before. It's just normal.
But that's what Women in Live Music want to do. We want to encourage women to ask. So come up to us and ask us, how did you get there, and what can I do to get into this industry? And that's also what they teach on the website, or they do with, for example, there's what do you call it, the walks, the show walks and talks, where you can come to and just have a chat with somebody from the production side of a bigger concert, and just ask your questions and be curious. And I think for me personally, I love that. I love to support other people. So I kind of slowed down on doing merch and photography at the moment, but I met a few very young girls in my hometown who will ask me questions, and I love supporting them. And it's just a really good feeling being like a teacher to those and being like a supporter to somebody young and female wanting to get into the industry. And that's also what we do here.
Yeah, and that's the way to normalize it, is to show off. And
nobody's taking away anything from you, because I think that's also a thing with women in the industry, that we, for a long time, we also, how do you say, you've always been afraid of other girls because they could take your job and they could do it better, and I don't know, because we are the only ones, well, there's only like a very few girls doing it, we're already fighting against the guys. And for me personally, for a long time, I felt like we women, we also compete with each other.
I don't know, because I've never experienced that, actually.
Well, with photography, I did so much. It was always like all these, I don't know the English word, but in German it's Stutenbissigkeit. So it's like female horses biting. So it was always a fight in between for a couple of years for me, and that felt so sad. And it was a process for me learning that I don't need that. So that it's much better to support each other, and I think that's so beautiful when you finally learn and you can support each other.
That's why you need to join Women in Live Music, because we do not tolerate that kind of behavior where, you know, you're competing with each other.
There.
You need to support each other. You need to be queens, fix each other's crowns. That's how it has to be. And that is how it is here. Anyhow, so I think, like, we need to raise our level of ambitions, because women are shying away from good jobs because they're thinking, oh, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough. Again, imposter syndrome. We need to train ourselves to say, of course I can do this. And actually, we live by the saying, say yes and then learn. And I mean, it will get you into trouble. But again, there are no mistakes, but there is a new beginning. So, you know, learn from mistakes is probably one of the best lessons ever. But guys are way better at fake it till you make it. And if they get not chosen for a job, they'll just move on to the next one.
Don't think about it that much.
Somewhere where we can definitely learn from them. Because if we get turned down...
If we fail, we feel like, oh, I failed my entire self. So, but it is, you got to stand up again, and it's with everyone, I think. But it's the barrier, or the level seems to be much higher once you failed the height you have to jump.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's to think because you made a mistake at a job or you got fired or whatever, it's not the end of the world. I mean, this industry is so huge, there's so many possibilities. It's just a matter about go and grab it.
You definitely learn from it, and then you have to try again.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to add is also that don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to, just be curious. And for me, I learned that there's also good people out there, like supportive people, and they can be male, and they don't define you for being a woman. And sometimes you need a little bit of luck to meet those people, but they are definitely out there. And if you find those people and they support you, that's the best thing that can happen.
Well, I just have to say that first again, I want to stress out that everybody can suffer from imposter syndrome. And this industry is tough for everyone, not just for women. But again, we stick out with our looks, so it's a little bit different for us. But again, it is really a stressful industry. So male can definitely also have these issues. Yeah. And actually, everything I know, I learned it from the guys in the industry. And I work with them, and they're also the ones giving me the job. So it's not a competition, you know, or like us versus them. Like let's move away from that. It's not about it. And in order to reach more diversity, we definitely need to stand together. But let me just move on with the slides here. Again, lack of visibility. If you don't see it, how do you know you can be it? Imposter syndrome. We have this report that we made this year called The Well-Being of Female Crew in the Industry, and it doesn't say that 80% is suffering from imposter syndrome, but if you look further down, you will figure that the number is way higher, as the 60% it says in the report. But lack of community network and support can make you very vulnerable and lonely if you are a woman, because again, your look sticks out if you're the only female among a big group of guys. Motherhood could also be a reason for women to leave the industry within, you know, a very short time. But that's something we're working on as well. We're doing this report right now called Parenthood in the Touring World, which is supposed to like pay focus to all of the issues you can have when you are a parent in this industry. And hopefully we'll give you some tips how to conquer these obstacles that you can meet as a parent. And again, there's no really solution how to retain women in the industry. But with visibility, network, and support, we can actually get there at some point. Why don't you smile some more? You can't really see the whole screen, so let's move on from that one. But it's about, yeah, let's move on for these because you can't see. But this is imposter syndrome. But again, this question, why don't you smile some more? It's something that a lot of women are being asked in this industry. Anybody have been asked that? Why don't you smile some more? Yeah, one there. Yeah, right? And we actually asked the AI, you know, what to reply to that. And the answer was that, you know, I'm here to do my job. But that's another thing. With what we call hidden harassment is this thing about that you are getting certain questions because you are a woman. You're being treated in a certain way because you are a woman. And again, this is the yellow one there is me when I'm mixing front of house. That's sometimes how I feel. And getting these questions of being treated differently definitely makes me insecure. So how to go around that?
That's a big question, right? For me, personally, it definitely helped to kind of try to change my mindset, to be like, not to question it too much, because I must have done something right. And if otherwise I wouldn't be here in this moment. Yeah, I'm still the yellow bird in the room, and I might still be the only girl, but maybe the fact that I'm there is not about me being a woman being there. It's about doing my job being there. And yeah, I must have done something right. And for me, it's such a simple sentence that I think about, and it helps me personally. But yeah.
Yeah, I would say so too, that it helps to trust yourself that, yeah, you're here because you're good enough for this job.
But that's
actually
also a
praise
process.
yourself a little bit.
Yeah, but that's also a process.
That's what I'm saying. You need to train it, but keep training it. And also, it's okay to say no to a job. If you don't feel comfortable about the people that you're supposed to work with, it's okay to walk away from that job. Again, it's not the end of the world. But on the other hand, get out of your comfort zone and say yes to jobs, and then maybe have to learn afterwards. That's okay too. Because you're not getting better unless you are like, keep doing it. And even though you doubt yourself, then think about, why are you doing it? Well, because you have a passion for the job. And something else you could do is to seek some mentors or people that you trust. Go and shadow them on jobs. See how they're doing and learn from them.
Oh, me too, for sure. And I'm thankful for the chance that people give me the chance to shadow them and to learn from them and be able to ask. But if you're too shy to ask, yeah, you have to be, what is the word? Brave enough to ask.
Yeah, well, maybe it helps just to put it down in an email. You know, you can do that as well. If you're like too afraid to say it in person, then email someone. Does anybody in here have some experience they want to share with us? Or some tips regarding imposter syndrome? Can we have a microphone? No, it's
The
just
channel.
muted, so the sound engineer just has to unmute it. I guess.
Blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's not about the imposter syndrome, but for the... Sorry, my English, I'm still not
You're
woke
doing
up.
great.
If you're, for example, at the mixing desk and you feel like this yellow bird, there are two possibilities, what I made. The first one is you just ignore that they look at you like a yellow bird. The second one is you be conscious about you're one of the first ones. You have to fight for some decades. So I'm fighting since 40 decades. No, 4 decades, 40 years. And if you're conscious about that you're one of the first ones and it will be better in some years or in 10 years or 50 years, whatever.
Or for the next generation.
Well, I'm doing it really since 39 years. So the next generation, you're the third generation after me, perhaps. But these are the two ways for me to handle it.
I think there's super good, advice here. Well, first of all, take the focus away from the people looking at you and focus on what you're supposed to do. It's just like playing the flute and then you hit a wrong note. Do you then stop and hide away? No, you carry on. And like you say, we are some of the first one. We have 2024, but we're still some of the first one. We need to keep that in mind. It will take another 10 to 15 years before it's normalized to have women on the crew. That's just how it is. It's a slow process, but we will get there. So be patient. Think about you're one of the first ones. Anybody else who would like to share, who's maybe been suffering from imposter syndrome?
So I work in a tech company and I'm the only female project manager, and I was on production once with another male project manager between 6 other male technicians, and I basically did the same thing as the male project manager. In my opinion, I did a little bit more, but I didn't get the feeling that the technicians heard me and they were like, she's just a female, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And I got the mentality to I'm sorry to say it like that, but my life motto is fuck the haters. So I just went to them and said, listen to me, I'm your project manager, even if I don't look like it, you need to do the task I'm telling you. And then it made a click and they just did what I said.
Yeah, that's another issue when you are the project manager and they actually have to listen to you and they completely ignore you. You did the right thing, but you could also take them one by one and say, look, this is how it is, and this is how it's going to be. And you can either suck it up or maybe you should be doing something else.
Or do
but
your job.
You need to work here as a teammate.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Sorry, can you just leave the audience mic unmuted, please? I would have done that as a sound engineer, but... Sorry about that. But great. And this is another case that I assume you have it as well when you're out on a gig. You have to tell stagehands that you need to do this and they're not listening. So how would you deal with that?
I must say what I already said, that in the last couple of years it definitely got better. That people will listen, but it will always be that one person just walking away from me, not even talking to me. And I'm like, yeah, you have to be outspoken. You have to be, hey, come back here, talk to me. This is the situation. I need you to do this. This is at the moment. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about the job and about getting it done.
Yeah, I'm pretty. I don't really want to waste much time on these kind of people. So I'll either take them out to the side, explain them, this is what I expect from you and this is what I want you to do. And if they don't listen, or if I can sense that, okay, I can't get through to them, I get to my superior and I said, go and talk to that person. And then if that person is not listening, it's just like, okay, we have to replace you.
Yeah.
I can't really waste time on somebody who's not a teammate.
I think with my job, it's also a little bit that it can be potentially dangerous. So, and for the fact that it could be dangerous, people are more curious or more well-behaved or whatever to listen to me because they're like, oh, okay, I step away from that because otherwise I get burned. So yeah, maybe it makes sense what she just said. That in that job, that helps as well.
Yeah. And I just want to, this quote, I love this quote, it was from another talk that we had, because this is how our industry still is, right? Being a drunk is more acceptable than being pregnant. But get this, with more diversity, this will change. So that's why we want more diversity. Right, I don't know how much more time we have. I think we've been talking for ages here, but
feels like it.
yeah, we're good.
We're good.
That's very good. Well, I really hope that you have enjoyed at least some of what we said. You're also very welcome to come and see us. We have a booth, G07. It's kind of like in the back. But we have a small booth there. Come over and have a chat with us about women in live music and maybe some more about Imposter Syndrome.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. It's great to see so many people out here.
Yeah, this we didn't.
And please
oh,
ask
great! Now we're getting the headphones.
Oh.
That's brilliant.
And ask the question. Come up to us, ask the question, join the website, look up what we do, and yeah.
Yeah, and remember, there's still the voting going on for the WILM Awards. It closed on Sunday, but go and check out the social media. Do follow us on all the social platforms. Great. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And hope to see you there. And great that you're joining this trade show.
Enjoy.
Das war das Panel mit dem Namen
Imposter Syndrome. What is this? Presented by Women in Live Music.
Wenn ihr Kritik oder Fragen habt, dann schreibt uns gerne unter www.futureoffestivals.com. Wir sehen uns spätestens am Donnerstag, den 27. und Freitag, den 28. November 2025 in der Station Berlin. Bis dahin.